Well, welcome everyone. We're so excited to be with you again. We've got a fun conversation today with Naomi and Monica. We're going to be talking about how to talk to a stranger on a plane or a train and then take that to enrollment. We were kidding before we started. What was the name of this? How to stalk a stranger.
How to stalk a stranger. I'm just wondering about that because I don't know if I could ever stay awake long enough in taxi and in the airplane to actually speak to anyone. Because generally within 5 minutes I'm fast asleep and then I wake up about 5 minutes before we land. So this is not going to work for me. I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Peppermint open the whole time, Stephen, and just keep sniffing.
Yeah, I have to drink a bottle of it. Just
All right, let's find out who Monica and Naomi are. We'll start with Monica, and then she can turn some time over to Naomi.
Okay. All right. So my name is Monica Legros, and I live in France. My husband's French, and I met the doTERRA oils in the autumn of 2014 and had a great experience. And so I've been doing the business for a little over 2 years now. And so what do I do besides run after people and try to stalk strangers? I have been an at-home mom, and I've got 6 kids, and I'm now 55, and I was going through menopause, and thankfully I met doTERRA, and so I've decided that I'm going to have my own business, and I'm like lots of us oil people, we don't want to be salespeople. So I love these podcasts and trainings and things. They really help. What about you, Naomi?
Right, well, you've beaten me by 2 children. I have to say, I've got 4. I thought I was doing pretty well. So I'm Naomi, the nutritional therapist, artist, entrepreneur, and will generally turn my hand to anything. So I was introduced to doTERRA in April 2012. I can't believe it. When Dr. Hill in convention was talking about the early days in London when there was only a handful of people in the room, I was one of those people.
Yes.
And it was brilliant. And so, so then I took a few years out to do a course. I was still doing sort of doTERRA, but it was a bit on the back burner. So I decided I wanted to become a nutritional therapist. That was a 3-year course, which was pretty grueling towards the end, quite brutal. But I still, I think doTERRA got me through it, and it's definitely supported my health issues in the last few years as well. It's just something I wouldn't be without. And I remember not long after I first started using doTERRA, I was visiting my daughter, and she had a friend visiting her, and she said, "Don't tell my mother what you've got wrong with you. She's got an oil for it." I said, "Oh yeah, I am saying that. You just end up saying it, don't you?" So yeah, that's me.
Well, if Naomi, if you're the professional in stalking people, let's hear how you do it, because it's interesting to me, because I don't do it at all, to be honest with you. I don't speak to people at all in that sense. I speak to people virtually. So tell us all about it. How do you do it?
Well, my partner has actually said to me in the past, he made an observation. He said, you go on a journey, you go somewhere, and you come back with a new friend. He said, you just seem to collect people. And when I was at college, it was quite interesting because I was making a weekly trip into London on the train, and my conversation started to be, "Oh, I met this person on the train. Oh, I've just met this woman on the train." And I think I just naturally connect with people. I don't have any fear of connecting with people. I also don't have an agenda. So I don't think, oh gosh, can I approach that person? Maybe they might be interested in sampling an oil or something. I let the agenda go. So it's literally just connecting with another human being. And my classic story is with a trip into London, and it was a half-term week. So there was a mother with her 3 children on the train, and I did deliberately get in the same carriage. It wasn't a crowded train, and I deliberately got in the carriage as the woman and her 3 children, and I did sit opposite them. I thought it would increase my chances of striking up a conversation. And when you've got 3 kind of outgoing children as well there, and you kind of just naturally say, oh, you off to visit London, you know, it's half term, what you off to, what are you going to do? And I let them do the talking, let her do the talking. And people love to talk about themselves. So if you forget about talking about yourself and you just keep asking them questions and just, you know, keep the conversation flowing and make it about them, and also finding common ground. And this was a brilliant situation because it turned out she lived in the next village along from me. It turned out she actually knew somebody that I knew. So that was great. So a bit more sort of rapport there as well. And I thought, oh, I want to do something here, and time's running out. It was getting towards, you know, we were getting towards Marrowbone Station in London. And I thought, I haven't got much time here. But she turned around and she said, so what do you do? And I think it's crucial when people ask those questions, that question, to use an answer to come back with. And one thing I found works is using a specific phrase at the, you know, to preface that, is you say, well, you know how. And as soon as you say, well, you know how, it's almost like you're priming people for a story. And people, as human beings, we are wired to share stories. We're wired to enjoy stories. We relate to stories. And so I said, well, you know how many people these days, especially mums with families, sort of like to have natural solutions to you know, for their family's health issues and what have you. I said, well, I teach classes to teach people how to use essential oils. And she said, oh, how fascinating. And I had my little key fob with me with the 8 oils in, and I did an impromptu class on the train. I got my key fob out, and those little bottles with the coloured stickers on them, the kids just like, oh, what's this? So I thought, I'm not going to use them all. I pulled out 3. I did peppermint, wild orange, and frankincense. And frankincense because, you know, the children know about frankincense and baby Jesus. So, you know, we sort of sampled each of them, and they tried them, and they thought they were wonderful. And I said, here, have the wild orange. I said, you're going to need it today. 3 children and a pushchair in London. And she said, oh, I'd like to know, she said, I'd love to come to one of your classes. I said, brilliant. I said, I'll sort that out for you, send you the info. And then I was on the train coming home. It was about 9 o'clock at night, and I was sitting there on the train, and I saw this family walking down the platform, and it was this lady with her 3 children and her husband, because he worked in London. They met up with her husband, and they got onto my carriage. They hadn't seen me. They got onto my carriage, and the 10-year-old girl saw me, and she said, Mum, it's Naomi, it's Naomi. And so they came and sat with me, and they were, the little boy, who was about 7, I think, he had the wild orange. He was the keeper of the wild orange, and he kept smelling it, and he absolutely loved it. And they sat there, and they saying, have you got any more oils? And they knew I had, and the mother was saying, oh, no, don't bother her, you know, don't bother. I said, no, it's fine, it's fine. And I got my little fob out, and I brought out some more oils. And then I let them choose another oil, and I thought, they chose, I encouraged lavender because I thought they're going to need something to calm them down tonight. So the rest of the story is that she did come to a class, and she enrolled, and happily using oils with her family.
That's a great story. And I love how you started in the beginning, just trying to get to know people and letting them talk about themselves. I think that's the key. Sometimes we're excited that someone might be a potential, and we start spewing information on them rather than just trying to connect with them and understand who they are and listen for ways that the oils might benefit them, so that we can talk about it in a natural way as they bring up different challenges that they have. I love that. And if you not had your samples with you, it would have been a completely different story.
How about you, Monica? You've got any experience when it comes to
I think
breaking the ice with people?
Yeah, I think what Naomi said just now was really perfect in every way. So I'd love to tell you how it can go really wrong, if you like.
Yeah, that's good as well. That's good as well.
Yeah. I could tell you how it goes like more like kind of okay, and then how you really mess it up. Me, the same person who can do it really well, and a few days later just completely wreck it. And that was on the way to London Convention. I had one of these enthralling exchanges with a person on the airplane. Everything was just great. And coming back, it was a disaster. And I realized that a big part of the disaster was the fact that I was tired, I was not excited, and I wasn't feeling happy about meeting people. On the way out, I was all pumped up. I felt like I was going to Disneyland. I'm from California, so we'd go to Disneyland once a year. It was like the best day in the year, besides Christmas. And so coming back, I felt tired, and I was taking not a plane. I was taking we have a system in France called BlaBlaCar. Have you heard of that in England? In America? It's an online carpooling system where you can find cheap rides with people who are driving someplace. So I got one of that from London back to France, and I saw one of the passengers waiting, and I looked at her, I was like, oh, she's great. She's gonna love the oils. This is gonna be really easy. And I think that's when it went wrong, when I said, this is gonna be easy. So I wasn't thinking about her. And I did show interest in her, but my agenda was that I was going to find myself a builder, because she liked oils. She was like the right age, right experience. And that just kind of had everything go downhill from the very beginning, even though there was kind of a good connection, etc., but the tone was not right. And then another thing I did, which is something that was really stupid, she was talking about oils, and she said, you know what, I'm really interested in rose oil. And now I know, do not ever take out one of the most expensive oils in doTERRA to sample someone the first time. Because she actually, when she found out the price of the oil, her face turned like stone. And it was clear to me that she thought, whoa, this is some sort of a ripoff. And she was sitting in the backseat of this car with me. If she could have turned her back and gone and walked down the aisle of the airplane, I think she would have done that. So that was a mistake already. The fact that I was seeing her as, I'm sorry, an easy target. And another thing was that, I was cramped with my backpack in the back seat of this car, and I laboriously hauled out my doTERRA folder, pulled out my catalog, was pulling out all these documents. I looked like a traveling salesman. So needless to say, that didn't go over well at all, not at all. And I was like, whoa, I really messed it up. So, now I realize if I'm traveling and I'm tired, I've got to prepare my mindset in advance to be happy and to be just interested in people. And like you said, Sherry, when you don't have an agenda, when you're just thinking of connecting with people, those are the times when it really, really went well. Especially, I would say, the times when I thought to myself, oh, this kid, he's going to university, he's never going to want to buy oils. But we just started chatting, because I'm like Naomi, I love people. I do. I have a lot of time, a lot of fun just meeting people and chatting with them. So there you go. There's what you don't do when you're meeting a stranger on the plane.
But do you think this is something to do with even language, how you say something to people? I was watching a video the other day by Tom Schreider, the big MLM guy, and he was talking about the magic words. And for example, you say stuff like would you be interested? And when you straight away say that, they already know there's a preempt, there's something going to happen before. So there's always that stress when you've already said it, would you be interested? But you kind of change it a little bit and say, would it be okay if? There's a kind of a more of a relaxed feel, and I think you can pretty much ask them anything after that. But I don't know. Please butt in, Naomi.
I didn't want to be rude and butt in, but that phrase.
No, please do.
I'm glad. You can always edit it out if it gets messy. I'm glad you mentioned Tom Schreider, because that phrase, I'm a big fan. that phrase that I said, well, you know how, that came from him, Big Al, Tom Schreiter. I've actually been to his trainings in person. He's got very dry sense of humour, but he's got some absolute gems. And I get his email newsletter, and there's always something in there. I don't always remember it, and I don't always remember to use it at the same time. So don't beat yourself up, Monica. I've had some disasters as well, and I've recognised that it is when I've got my own agenda, and you know, you have to think, no, you need to be genuinely interested in people and genuinely asking those questions and waiting for the answers and just letting it develop. You know, if it had got to the stage on that train, if we got into Marylebone, I would have found a way of of wrapping it up. But I was glad to be able to get my little samples of oils out, because the oils, once you've set the scene and you then introduce the oils and people smell them, that's when the magic happens. I mean, yeah, for me, it was when perhaps if I explain how I got into the oils, it was literally just smelling them. I didn't need to have a sample. I wasn't given a sample. It was, and again, it's that mind thing. It was somebody saying to me, tell me what you think of these oils. And the barrier went up in my mind thinking, oh, she's going to try and sell me something. So I was already getting ready to just be polite and say, just smell them and say, oh, they're very nice, thank you very much, but no thank you. But just smelling them got me. You know, I smelled 3 peppermint, wild orange and lemon, and I couldn't get enough of them. And that was enough for me to then, and as soon as she said, oh, you can get a wholesale account, magic words to me. So sometimes you can say the exact right thing to the right person, and sometimes you can mess it up. But I would highly recommend looking at Tom Schreiter's things, how to build rapport with people, how to get around those barriers. And
the magic words and Big Al, I think, is Big Al and magic words. But he's quite. I knew about him years and years ago. My wife mentioned him to me years ago, and that's where I kind of learnt about him. But he's still funny now. He's worth going, even if you know nothing about network marketing or MLM. He's just funny anyway.